This is CodeWalker. It's a new type of developer tool designed to make programming easier. It simplifies complex code, instantly finds common problems, and eliminates a lot of the guesswork when trying to fix a bug. Today we're going to use Recon, CodeWalker's 3D overview mode, to get an instant understanding of an entire project, identify common pain points, and just see how thousands of lines of code in different files works together. In the previous videos, we looked in depth at CodeWalker's powerful code exploration tool, Microscope, and we saw how Retrace allows you to debug forward and backwards in time, like scrubbing a video. Today we're going to go in the opposite direction with Recon, CodeWalker's 3D overview mode, that will instantly teach us things about the code we're looking at. So grab a drink, kick back, and get ready to see code in ways you've never seen it before. I have some code here that will illustrate some basic concepts in CodeWalker's Recon. This is absolutely trash code. You will never want to use anything like this, but it will help us understand how to use CodeWalker super fast. To navigate in CodeWalker, you simply click and drag. Alt key will rotate, and you can also use WASD and the arrow keys. We have three buttons. Cyan, if you click that button, everything's going to turn this color. And then we have Files, and if you click it, you'll notice that it changes all of the colors for all of the code on the screen every time you click it. If you click it multiple times, it's going to recolor everything randomly. And you'll notice that the code is the same color as the file itself. And this allows you to very easily identify which code belongs to which file. For example, the purple code belongs to the purple file, the green code belongs to the green file, and you'll notice that some of the purple code has green code in it. That means that the purple code is actually calling into the green code. So that's an easy way to see where your code is actually influencing other code. Another thing you'll notice is these large circles. A big circle indicates this is a part of code where we're just doing a lot of work. If you were to look at the actual code, you would see that, sure enough, we're just doing a whole bunch of stuff, one thing after another. The point behind this is to give you a visual representation of your code that allows you to understand what's going on without having to read the actual code. Each step in these spires represents a function that's calling into a different function. And if we click heat map, based on the number of nested loops, it's going to show us the parts of our code that need to be the most performant. These aren't necessarily problems. It's just something that we need to be aware of. Recursion is a powerful tool in programming, but when you don't want it, it can be a huge problem. So CodeWalker can automatically detect recursion and show you that. Now, this code is heavily recursive for illustrative purposes. Normally, there is no way in heck you would have code that has this much recursion. And if you look closely, CodeWalker will show you where the recursion starts and where it ends. The function names button is going to toggle function names on and off. You can't really see them unless you really zoom in. Otherwise, they do cause a little bit of a performance issue. Some development tools that create a dependency graph lump all dependencies in together. We don't do that. CodeWalker distinguishes between class method dependencies and class variable dependencies. Class methods are shown as the color of the class that they start in, while class variables can be displayed separately. So what you see here is a class that is being referenced from two other files via class variables. If we change the data in this file, it's possible we'd indirectly cause problems in the other files, but it wouldn't be that obvious compared to changing a class method, so we might not notice it. The search feature is very powerful because it allows you to perform multiple searches and see all of the results at the same time. We're going to search for the word robot. Notice that it colorizes the file when we do that. Now when we click and drag the file, the class variable dependencies will also be that same color. The custom code feature is one of the most powerful features in CodeWalker, but it's better explained with a real-world example. We'll get to that in a minute. One other thing you'll notice here on the sidebar, when you select any file, you can either click the word open to open it in your text editor of choice, or you can click Microscope to use CodeWalker's in-depth code exploration tool. Now you know how to use CodeWalker's Recon mode. I'd like to share a few real-world examples of how we used CodeWalker recently. CodeWalker is a powerful tool that can radically change how you program and what you're capable of. So hopefully these examples will give you some ideas. The clips in the rest of this video were made right after each of the examples, so it's using older versions of CodeWalker. It looks a little different, but it's the same product. It just doesn't have as many cool features as it does now. Let's begin. So here we're going to do a little real-world example of something you can use CodeWalker for. In this case, I've taken a popular virus and I've opened it here on my Mac. Now, I can't open this virus on Windows because Windows detects that it's a virus. It knows which virus it is, and it says, sorry, the virus detected, can't open this. So you can get around that, but I just wanted to show you this. So I'm opening this on my Mac, and I'm not going to tell you which virus it is, but this is an open source one. You can find it on GitHub. I don't want to anger the YouTube algorithm. But here are some parts of it, and it has some very visible, very obvious, distinctive features, let's just say. Okay, so it has a table that asks to load of a few things, and again, I'm not going to try to describe to you how to write a virus, but it's a well-written one, to say the least. Lots of documentation. So here is this virus, and we're just going to set this off on the side here. Just going to set this right off to the side like this, and then we'll come back to this in just a second. So here's another virus, and this is a virus that was recently found in the wild. And by the wild, I mean a friend of mine actually got a copy of this one. And so we're going to load this one up. And again, I don't want to show you this because I don't want you to know exactly which one this is. This is not a advertisement for someone's virus, but I thought this was pretty funny. So again, we load this up, and you'll notice right away that there are some similarities. Now, the funny thing is, this virus has been obfuscated. The code was changed, and I suspect, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that either A, it was obfuscated to get around some of the Windows security things so that the developer could actually mess with it, or B, it might have been obfuscated so that the developer could take credit for it. I'm not sure. But I think it's kind of funny that it's actually, as far as I can tell, the exact same virus. Now, you notice, though, that some of these function calls are actually obfuscated text. So we're going to compare the two side by side, and you tell me what you think. We're just going to slide this over the side and then compare this to the other one. See the similarities? Yeah, so that's one of the interesting things you can do with CodeWalker, since it ignores this concept of text, and it instead generates these structures based on the actual logic in the code. Another real-world use, recently we updated a motion capture system called Glycon, and we needed to swap out the built-in inverse kinematics library with something new. And so based on the search results, just going on the core of the product, which you see here, Glycon's actually considerably more complicated than this, but this is the heart of the product. Just based on this, when we did a search in Visual Studio, what we found was this. Only 4 actual hits. Oh, okay. Well, this should be relatively straightforward, right? We just swap out those 4 little things there, and then everything's going to be easy, right? That's what it looked like if we'd gone off of the Visual Studio search results. But I had this weird feeling that that wasn't correct, mostly because I knew my way around the code. But I knew that there was far more that would be affected by this. And so all we had to do here is open CodeWalker, do the same search, and then show dependencies for each of the items in the search results, and color the files and move them around a little bit. And you immediately see the scope of the actual problem, which is considerably larger. So from here, I was able to then go in here and take these files that reference this class and pull these aside. And as I changed out the IK system, I was able to go into this and basically just look at each of those classes and make sure that everything in them still worked. And this allowed me to instantly know with a great deal of confidence exactly how large of a scope how large the scope of this project was going to be. And as a result, I was able to execute on this very directly in a fairly decent amount of time. This beats the hell out of guessing and trying to figure out what would have actually, where things were affected, what was changed, what was affected by this change, etc. that I used to have to do. This was a really interesting one. I've done this particular type of port before, and I knew what was involved and I knew what the gotchas were going to be. So I had created a custom search file for basically the types of issues that I knew that I would run into. And I was able to load it here and literally click a button. And as soon as I did, then it highlighted all of the problem areas in red. It highlighted those files that found those issues in those files. And so from here, all I had to do was, again, go in here and check the class variable dependencies. That gave me a list of the files that were being affected by the deprecated code and the code that I needed to change for the upgrade. And this allowed me to port this software in record time. I really wish I had custom definitions like this for things like Unreal. I don't at the moment, but having one single custom code, having a single definition file that I could load into the custom scanner and load for an Unreal project would probably have turned months of work into, I don't know, minutes, maybe a day tops. And that would have been fantastic. So what I was able to do was basically provide a screenshot to a client and say, hey, here's exactly the scope of what we need to do and the files we need to access and what we're going to need to change. And from there, it was a very straightforward process because the search system had already identified every single part of the code that I was going to need to change, and I knew what it needed to change to. Well, you know how to use CodeWalker, so now to use it on your own code, all you have to do is just go grab either one of the free demos on getcodewalker.com, or you can get the full version either on that website or on Steam. And next, we're going to cover the VR version of CodeWalker, where you're able to literally walk around your code.